I obviously was planning on making a video because I don't get up in the morning, have a couple of cups of coffee, and put on a lavalier mic just because like I wear one all day. It's not really not a normal thing for me to do. So here I am, ready to go. Couple of cups in. Already played guitar this morning. Already double checked the mix. What am I going to talk about? A bunch of things. Some hip hop related. Some overall music related. It's kind of a. It'll be a little bit of a mixed bag because, you know, my overall theme mostly is just music production in general. So I have a lot of, I get a lot of questions about mixing, recording, making beats, 90s, 2000s, R&B, how do you record a vocal, all those kinds of things. There's so many things that I can't really say that anything would be, you know, you didn't come here specifically for one thing, I hope, because you're not going to get just one thing. One little area I'd like to get into is I checked out this, he's an instructor of graphic design, and he's a graphic design artist. There's a guy with a channel. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know the guy's name. But anyway, he has a really cool video. It's titled something like, I'm going to tell you exactly how to be an excellent graphic designer. I think his channel is called Studio Practice. So before you run away and go check out his video, I'm going to steal some of his ideas and incorporate them a little bit into the music thing, into the music industry thing. The overall premise, without being a total spoiler alert, is that he, back in the day when he was trying to learn, when he was an up and comer, and I can relate to this, you kind of hang around with some people with more experience than you, and you're asking them, like, you know, how do I get better? How do I learn how to do this? How do I learn how to mix? How do I learn how to make a track sound good? And most advice was get yourself some tracks, whether you got your hands on some tracks that somebody else made, or make some tracks with the intention of literally identically copying something else. So I remember early on in my days of trying to do all this stuff, I would take a record that I wanted to understand how it was made, and I would recreate as many elements as I could, as identically as I could. Is that the right word? To try to recreate it, make a sound alike. And you learn a lot from that. You learn that there's a lot to it, and that it's really hard to do, but you will get better at it, I've found. And that is a way to become better at doing what you do. And then his main caveat was, in the advice that he got, and the advice I would say to anyone is that, like, you learn to copy, and then you have to literally stop copying in order to develop your own voice. And it's a slippery slope, because if you get really good at copying, it's tempting to go that route. And he mentions this, and I will say it also, is that by copying, you can somewhat get the bag, as to use a current phrase. You could make tracks that sound a whole hell of a lot like somebody else. Let's just put it in the track making context. And you could probably sell yourself on that quite a bit, to some extent, until it gets to the point where someone says, well, but that just sounds exactly like so-and-so. I could give you an example even of, like, on an artist tip, Like, say you're working with say you're a female singer, and you really get down, you really get the Lorde aesthetic down. You can copy her to the point where people can't even tell the difference when you sing a Lorde song, like at karaoke, or or you can imitate her on a track. That will get you a little ways down the road, but the road will come to an end more than likely, because for one, you'll be late, and that is always the death of the artist or producer who copies, is that they're always chasing the latest or somewhat latest thing, and then by the time they get it down, they're late. So sometimes I drive my camera a little up the wall. It's like it's at the top of the head type of thing. Anyway, so another thought I had on this whole thing was, I watched this movie because of another YouTube thing. They mentioned it, and it had sort of been in my Amazon Prime thing to like watch this movie, and I'm not a big movie guy. Like, I've probably watched 30 or 40 movies in my entire life. So I watched, and I didn't even make it through this thing all in one swoop, but it was called Sliding Doors. It was with Gwyneth Paltrow, who I admittedly have a little bit of maybe I have a thing for her. I don't know. So I'm watching this movie, and this guy had recommended watching it. He referenced it. So I was like, okay, that's it. That means I should watch this. And the movie was called Sliding Doors, and it's about the things that can change in your life, in the course of your life, if you go through one door, or if you go through the other, or if you don't make it through that one, or if you make it through that elevator door just in time, and then you meet someone who's like, this was a love story type of thing. So it was like the love of your life. And it goes back and forth. I couldn't even spoil it for you if I wanted to, because it goes in so many directions. And then it culminates in an ending that, you could say like, okay, that's what happened when that person went through that door. I can relate to it in the music industry. The music industry is production, and it's tricky, and particularly if you're in freelance, one decision to take a gig or work with an artist over a different one based on timing can completely change the direction of where you're going or where you end up. And this brings me to the main thing that I wanted to get with you guys, so that you had something to think about, was I'll put the positive tip on it right now. Or the way you can look at it from there's a way to look at this as bright and dark, I'll say. So let's just say someone had a crystal ball, and they could look into that crystal ball, psychic, fortune teller, or whatever, and they really knew, or you could really look into it, and you really could see, we've heard about the 5-year plan. You could see exactly 5 years to the day, whatever this is, July 9th. So July 9th, 2029, you could look and see that this music journey that you're on, and I'm just going to call it that, whether you're a producer or an engineer or a beat maker or an artist, this music journey that you're on, 5 years to the day, you can look into the future, and you would see that you were a huge success. You were involved in some big selling record, and everything that you were working towards from today to 2029 comes to fruition. Now, my question is, having that knowledge, like what would you do starting today? What kind of veracity would you go at your journey, your craft? Would you just be super motivated going like, wow, I know I'm going to be a big deal in 2029. It's time for me to just pedal to the metal and really be, first of all, you want to be ready for 2029 when you get there. I would think that's one angle. The other angle is 2029, you look into the future and you see that nothing has come to fruition. You're not a big-time mixer, you're not a big-time beat maker, you're not a big-time artist, you're not a big-time music industry mogul. My question is, would you continue right now knowing that those goals weren't going to work out?